And for this specific demonstration, I already prepared an opportunity. So I have an opportunity for this webinar where I'm going to do a couple of configurations just to show you some different capabilities. The first thing we will do is create a new quote, which is all standard Salesforce. So I'm going in, and I'm going to create a new quote. And that quote is going to be a quote for this webinar for solar panels. I have a client that buys solar panels, and I need to make a configuration for those. So I'm creating a new quote, and I'm going into the quote. This is all standard Salesforce, and then of course here's the configuration for the quote. The only thing we need to do here is make sure that we make a selection of the right selling model, in this case for the solar panel sale. And at this point, eCon will launch the questionnaire that will be applied to this specific sales scenario. Now, of course, we're going to give this quote a name. We're going to say solar panel sales, and of course, it remembers my previous input. And the first thing I'm going to do here is indicate how much power I use in peak and in low hours. Now, I know based on this, I will need probably 50 panels to facilitate this need. And at this point, we have no other info. But as soon as I know I'm going to place these on 2 roofs, eCon will propose a structure to go through the questions I need to fill out for those specific roofs. And I want to have a 20% margin on the installation services. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure this is the roof of the main building. At that moment, the caption of this thing will change, so I know which building I'm working on here. Now I have a roof type, and the roof type will drive the mounting system. So if it's a flat roof, I will have the SDEC mounting system. For a corrugated roof, I will have the solar cell. So as said, eCon can drive base values based on certain combinations that are possible or impossible, of course. I can select a roof mounting system, and then I'm going to say that I will have 5 by 5 in terms of rows for my solar panels in less than 25 grade. And then I'm going to my product selections. This is a list of items coming directly from my item master in Salesforce. And from here, I am going to do the product selections. Here we go. Based on the selection, things will populate, and I can add the quantity. I'm going to add 10 of those solar panels. Then the second thing I'm going to do is add a second panel and add 15 of those. So in this time, at this moment, I have 25 panels out of the 50 that we have to facilitate. Second thing is I have to choose an inverter, and this could also be supported by pictures, of course, or other information. This dropdown can contain a lot of information, as you will see in other demonstrations that we're going to be looking at. Then we have an installation cable we're going to need, and maybe we also have a monitor, the solar log 100, and we're going to use one of those. eCon will, in the time, track if I am done, and in this case, I am not done because I have 50 panels to choose, and I only have 25, so I cannot save this configuration back yet. What we're going to do is go to the second building and say second building, and what we're going to do here is add 5 by 5 rows again in more than a 25 grade, and we're going to add these panels, and we're going to add 25 of those. We're going to also add an inverter again, or maybe actually 2, why not? No, we're going to add 2 inverters here, and in the meantime, we're going to add some installation cable, which could be sold in different units of measures, by the way. We're going to add a monitor, one of them. So one monitor, here we go. Oh. Excuse me, one monitor, and we can, of course, look at the total overview of the quote. So we can see how the quote looks in this case. We can work with prices, with discounts, everything can be updated here. And when I'm ready to go in, I can save this configuration. So at this point, eCon saves everything into the entities that we have set up for Salesforce, and we can look at what happened. So at this moment, eCon generated all the quote lines that we need for this specific installation. So we have the monitors here, we have the solar panels for the different roofs, 25 for roof 1, 10 and 15 for roof 1, and 25 for roof 2. At any given point in time, we can go back in and make changes. So let's say the client says, hey, I don't think that's going to be enough. We could add 10 panels. We could say, no, that's going to be on the 3rd building. and continue our configuration process. So this is the shed, and for that shed is going to be a portrait mounting for a flat shed. We're going to do 5 by 2 here. It's a less than 25 grade roof, and we're going to add 10 panels. And we're not going to add anything else for this. So we can save it back. eCon will update the configuration and add the quote lines. So when now I go to the quote lines and I look at the details, I will see that 10 panels have been added. So we can go back and forth between the configuration until the client is satisfied with the result. And from here, it's all standard Salesforce. So I can create my documents. I can use this with standard Salesforce. I could use DocuSign, Conga, any document generation tool you want to. We also have our own, so that's a choice you can make. And from here, it's all standard Salesforce for approvals, for everything. That's one ability. Now let's look at a different example. This was a company installing solar panels. I will generate a new quote now for the sale of some office furniture. Sale of furniture. And we're going to create a quote for this specific sale. So we go in, we go to eCon, and in this case, we are going to select the questionnaire that we use for office sales, for office furniture sales. It could be a sale of furniture to Salesforce Amsterdam. The first thing we're going to do is look at the building structure, because we might have a building structure here. So the first thing we're going to do is say this is the main building. Here we go. Main building. There's a small typing error here. The main building. For the main building, we have a couple of areas. We have the front entrance, and at the front entrance we have a couple of offices. And the first one will be the front. So you can see eCon builds up the structure of the building in this case, and per floor or per room we're going to set up the specific furniture we're going to sell. So for this floor we're going to sell 4, let's say, chairs. And for the chairs, we have 2 series, it's the Dara and the Mia. We're going to sell the Dara and configure this specific chair. So we're going to choose a specific chair, which is immediately visualized in our picture. Could also, again, be a real-time rendering of the chair. We're going to make some selections for the casters, for the base and whatnot, the finish color, the frame, the armrests, and save this back into the configuration. At this point, we have this configuration done. We're going to add one more line and make sure we also sell 2 archives. What I'm doing with the mouse can also be done by typing. So it's smart filters. When I type here, it will smart filter to the selection. And in this case, I'm going to select the archive 1. Also, configuration here. I'm going to select the archive, which is going to be a block with wheels. I'm going to select the metal structure. In this case, my dropdown is supported with a picture. Could be pricing info, could be availability, could be anything. And the laminate boards, and at this point I'm saving this back. Now, this way we can build up the configuration for this specific room. We can also copy this room and say, this is going to be the sales manager office, And for this office, we don't need those archives. We can also create a complete new configuration and that way build it up. When we're happy with this configuration, again, and all the prerequisites are met, we can save it back into Salesforce. And at this moment, my quote lines are being generated. So I have my chair, 4 of them. We have my block with wheels and the 4 chairs for the sales manager office. Now my client is happy with the configuration I made, but he wants a second floor also because the price applies to them. So we're going to say, we're going to copy this whole front desk and create a second layer of that, or actually copy the whole building. We're going to remove this one and we're going to copy the whole building. So let's copy that whole structure, right? And this is the second building. And it's completely copied. All of the input here, front desk, and of course I can change this. It's going to be the back entrance. That's all possible. I can also create a new one. I said front desk can be the same. We have a sales manager office there. And we're going to copy this because we have 2 times this need, whatever we do. And when we save this back, eCon will update the quote lines and make sure we have all the input here. So when we go back to the quote lines, I go here, and now everything is here, including the second building and the back entrance. So we also have some custom fields that we are populating right now based on the choices we made in the configurator. Now, last example, let me go back to the opportunity that we just created for this webinar and create an opportunity for a heavy piece of equipment. I'm going back, creating a new quote for a equipment sale, and save that quote. eCon creates the quote, and we go in. And in this case, we're going to select a question that is specifically set up for the sale of a heavy piece of equipment. So here we are, and the first thing we're going to do here is select the specific Volvo model that we're going to sell. And again, here I see a price, I see what kind of pricing I apply, because of course we can use price books and a lot of pricing logic. And when selecting it, I immediately get a visualization of the truck I'm selling, and I have an updated pricing overview. Now, based on the truck I select, the certain boom selections are possible or not. Because if I select a different truck, this one has the same selections, select a different truck, I have more boom selections, and I can select a different boom. Now, of course, with the equipment, we have a lot of drop-downs. Some of the values are pre-populated, as you can see, because they are standard options for this specific truck. I can go through my electric selections and add a rotating light. For lighting, I have several additional options like white lights, and there's a $400. I'm going to add xenon work lights for $4,000 and whatnot. I can go through my tire selections and change the default value that was populated based on the selections for this specific device. I can work with attachments, in this case visualized with pictures. I will add a fork and maybe a material handling arm. And I can even work with customizations. So I could say I need a custom audio system. And this can be 5,000 roughly. This specific customization can also be a base for a technical approval. What we see a lot in these industries is that at this point the quote cannot be sent. It will be flagged as one that needs technical approval. And there's going to be an email to an engineer that says, hey, why don't you go in and change this configuration and add certain components to make it complete. So they can do that, and only after that the commercial approval can take place. Now, of course, everything adds up to the price. I could even work with trade-ins, where I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to trade in a certain machine, use the taxation, so that value will go off of my sale. And I could even say, why don't we finance this whole machine? And I can see my net lease price based on a certain interest percentage and the investment in total over the whole leasing term. And also here, in the end, when we're done with the configuration, we're happy with the price and the discount we give, we can save this information back to Salesforce, or we generate a new item or maybe a bundle, or we put the bill of materials in, and we could even place this order in an ERP system, including a complex bill of materials and a routing. And in this case, we have the Volvo truck with all of the components that we needed to have in here. The new rims, the changed tires, the upgraded lights, and everything is in this quotation. Now, as you can see, there's a variety of questionnaires that we have been looking at. That's the flexibility of the solution. It's all in my interface. I'm looking at Salesforce. Nobody knows this is eCon, and that's how it should be. It's all one integrated, complete solution. The questions I'm looking at, the way it's set up, the way it interacts is all flexible, right? In this case, I have my heavy equipment model with very different questions, with a link to the specifications, which is very different than when I sell office furniture, or when I sell services, or when I sell chemicals. As we've seen in the reference list, the references go across a variety of industries. eCon is specifically, of course, strong where it's more complex products or services that are being sold. Now, that wraps up the demonstration for today. If you have any questions, we are going to send out a slide deck as well as the recording. Feel free to reach out to our team. We're more than happy to answer your questions. Prepare a demonstration specifically for you with your products and your services. You can see how eCon CPQ and Salesforce would work for you. And we're more than happy to get in touch for a follow-up. That is all we had to do for today. So I want to thank everybody for your attention and your presence. Again, please feel free to reach out to us if there's any questions, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Thanks everybody, and have a great day from here on.